All right, guys. I think we got us back. You there with me, Randy?
Yeah, I hope so.
Man, you know what, dude? I'm telling you, between your microphone sounding like an ocean and StreamYard deciding to just say, "Hey, I think y'all got a little bit too loud. Maybe I got a little bit too loud," and they shut it down. So my apologies on that. Good Lord. I mean, I don't know why I'm apologizing. I didn't do anything. I was just sitting here and it went away.
Well, hopefully we're good. I tried to let everybody know, and I'm off the mic, so maybe we're sounding a little bit better
No,
here, not quite as loud.
you sound fine. You sound fine.
Yeah. So,
Sorry,
the
go
point we were
back.
trying to
Yeah,
make,
go back.
we were having a good back and forth on whether you need to even look at this different than you have in the past. And, the problem I have with it, Brett, is I do feel like we need to relook at how you schedule these, because the goal at the end of the day, what is the goal at the end of the day? Yes, it would be nice to win an SEC championship, but if you ask me right now, what's my goal? I'd like to make the playoffs.
Yeah, me and you
Number
both.
one goal.
Yep.
Like to make playoffs.
Yep.
And so how do you make the playoffs? You can't lose many football games. And if you only lose 2 football games in the SEC and that counts the out of conference, you're going to make the playoffs.
Right.
So don't give yourself any chance at all to lose any out of conference games. I mean, you've got to have a 95.5 win percentage chance in the games that you schedule out of conference if you're Auburn.
Right.
And now if I'm an SEC team, I say that all the time. But if I'm Auburn and I've got to play those monsters that we've got to play every year, Alabama and Georgia, they're never going anywhere. They may have one down year, but nobody wants to play Alabama and Georgia every year. Nobody. If the goal at the end of the day is to make the final 12 teams, Brett, but
Right.
we're stuck here in Auburn competing against them in recruiting and competing against them on the football field because they're our rivals and they're the ones that are going to stay on the schedule with us. So do we need to prove anything outside of that, Auburn fans?
No.
My answer is zero. No, don't. And don't take a chance.
Yeah, and look, and what my point was before everything went like a blur off, the games, yeah, moving forward, I definitely see that. You know, these games that we've had scheduled, like Baylor and Cal and all that, have been scheduled. Now, can you go back and change that? Can you get out of them at this point? Maybe, maybe not. Look, I don't think Auburn's really ever – I've said this, and you can go back and look at my tweet that I had with Luke yesterday. I've always said that. That's been my philosophy the whole time, that why do we want to go out and schedule outside of just giving fans a cool trip to go to Happy Valley, to Penn State, or to go to, wherever, to make a trip out west to go see a school like Cal or USC. I mean, there's really no reason to do that. You need a break. You need a break in this schedule. The SEC is tough enough. You need to, because look, you and I have even said this. I mean, a few years ago when college football was moving in this direction, we said, what's going to happen to the Western Kentuckys and the Southern Misses of the world? They're going to become irrelevant. They need games like Auburn and Alabama to get money for their athletic department. And it's helped them, and it helps kids get scholarships. If you start eliminating these athletic programs and letting everything go to the Power 5 at the time, now it's Power 4, then you're taking opportunities away from kids that aren't good enough to play at that level, that want to play football and continue their education. So I've always been in favor of Auburn. I don't care what Alabama does, but Auburn playing 3 games in the schedule where people can afford the ticket. They can go watch New Mexico. They can take their family because the ticket's not $120 a piece. And Auburn's football team can kind of get a break that week and kind of heal up and maybe go through the motions and get a win and then get back on track doing what they need to do in the SEC. So I totally see that point. My point is, the argument I'm hearing right now from everybody is the ironic thing about Alabama is they didn't lose a non-conference game this year. They lost 3 conference games, and you've got to take care of your business in conference moving forward to be able to do it. So you can go out and schedule some easy non-conference, and I think you'll see that shift back now. But this isn't going to make things easier on SEC teams. Saying that is not going to make things easier for all of us, because our conference is way far and away better and tougher than any of those other conferences. Period.
I think the point they're trying to make, though, Brett, and that I agree with, and I think that you agree with it, you're just coming about it in an Alabama standpoint this year, this 1 year.
I'd say it's an anomaly. It's an anomaly.
But the point they're making is it does us no good to go on the road and play Wisconsin. It does Alabama no good, or Auburn. It does us no good to go play Penn State or Miami, or think about all the matchups that Alabama's had over the years in neutral sites. That they won most of them, but it's now post Nick Saban, especially, where you're going to be probably fighting every other year. You'll probably get in there pretty easily, but every other year now post Nick Saban, Alabama's going to be fighting to get in that 12. They're not going to be the program, I don't believe, that they've been over this last 15 years. You cannot take a chance of going on the road. You can't. And Auburn, we damn sure can't take a chance.
Well, here's
going on the road and losing to a Baylor or losing to a Utah. I can keep just bringing up some potential matchups that we'll see.
Well, don't worry about that and play them in the playoffs. Here's the deal.
Yeah,
I sent y'all that message yesterday. This thing's dragging out to January 20th for a national championship game, dude. That the idea that any of these kids are donning the door of a classroom's a joke. Okay, I mean, let me just be honest about that. I mean, this isn't this has turned into a pro sport. And you got these kids, they're going to be preparing from now till end of January for football games. And then you got spring practice that starts in March. This thing's become year-round, man. So you're right. Strength of schedule is so hard to determine. And at the end of the day, what can you gauge everybody on? Their record.
Yes.
Nobody, even the top 12, they don't have the same schedule. There's no way to ever say everybody had an equitable schedule. So, okay, now let's just look at there's going to be some with stronger schedules, some with weaker schedules, and then some going to debate that. We can continue to do that for hours upon hours. And we can say, well, he beat them. Well, we beat them. Well, they all beat us. And then they lost to them, though. I mean, we can go in that circle endlessly. What you can look at is wins. And at the end of the day, all these conferences signed up for this format. And we all said we accept a conference champion from that conference. And we accept teams that have, again, the commonality is nobody with less than 2 losses got in the playoffs, or nobody with more than 2 losses got in the playoffs. I hate it. Yeah. Did Alabama play a tougher schedule than SMU? There is no question. Absolutely. But obviously the committee said SMU almost won their conference championship. They had 1 loss going in. They came back. They lost a close game. We shouldn't throw their whole season out because they lost by a walk-off field goal in the conference championship game. Because then again brings in the argument about these conference championship games. What if SMU had not even played in that thing, Randy? What if they'd have said, no, we'll just sit here at 11-1? How about that?
Yeah, and I think SEC teams are going to definitely say that in the years to come. I mean, if you're Alabama and they had 2 losses and you make the SEC championship game and you have to go play that one, and you end up with 3 and maybe you lose by 2 or 3 touchdowns and it keeps you out, it's going to make you rethink whether that – and that's going to happen. That's coming. Did you see the crowd at the SEC championship game was a joke.
Oh, it was terrible. No energy.
That thing's turned into a non-event. Nobody cares. Now, I said that I'd still like to win SEC championships, and I think that you would too. But it's a bigger risk now that you've got 12 teams than it was when there was only 2.
Just go back to the days when Auburn won all those at the end of the 80s, but they shared it with two teams. I know we shared with Tennessee and Alabama one year. It don't matter. Now that you got 16 teams, if there's 2 at the top with a couple of losses or whatever, or do a tiebreaker and figure out how you want to do that. These championship games, like Michael just said, Clemson had 3, but won the conference. Well, then stop giving out automatic bids to the conference title champion. That's another thing. If you want to do that and say Clemson didn't deserve to be in this playoff, which I can make that argument too, that Alabama probably deserved to be in over Clemson because they weren't as good a team this year, then don't give automatic bids, and that opens up another spot for teams that you feel like maybe are better that didn't get in.
I want to give one quick take, and then I got to jump off. Got an 8:30 meeting this morning, but a quick take on Ja'Kai yesterday, Brett. Getting as many minutes as he got, the way that he plays over the rim. I mean, he's a high flyer, but I think we're going to look back on what happened with Ja'Kai early in the season in that first home game, because his attitude's completely flipped since then. I think the message was sent loud and clear that we know how talented you are, and we need you on this squad, and we need you taking up minutes. And when CDM needs to come out, we need you in there. From an athleticism standpoint, I think he can really help us at the 3, Brett. But the point I'm trying to make is sometimes a negative happening like we saw early in the season with Ja'Kai can really end up being a strong thing. And I appreciate his attitude right now. It's really strong. He seems like a team player. So I wanted to throw that in there before I jump off this morning. Again, thanks to everybody for tuning in. Hopefully we can correct the couple of little technical issues.
I got an error message, and Facebook crashed.
Okay.
And it wasn't. See, we're up on YouTube right now.
Got it.
And I think Facebook's come back now, and it has. We just got Facebook back. Randy, I don't know how to explain this. It's about like me trying to explain this college football playoff. I can't do it.
Well, I'm going to jump off this morning. Appreciate all of you tuning in. Brett and I'll be back with you tomorrow morning, and make sure to tune in today 12-1 for Auburn Blitz.
All right, I'll keep it going for just a second. Now, guys, again, sorry about the technical difficulties. Tony, you the man, brother. No, all good. No, we do that out of fun, and that's what this is all about. No, we don't go to blows about this, but no, but I see your point. It's not that I don't see your point. I see everything you're saying. I'm just saying that the SEC this particular year, for Alabama fans that were commenting about the non-conference schedule, yes, in the future, don't schedule it. But for this year, the SEC games are the games that kept you out, not losing on the – you didn't go to Wisconsin and lose. You went up there and you dominated Wisconsin. I mean, again, Wisconsin didn't end up being a good football team this year, but hey, nothing y'all can help. Y'all went up there and spanked them in their home, and that should have been a good quality win. Didn't end up being as good a quality win as you would have hoped because they didn't end up being as good. But at the end of the day, I think we have been sent a message. But, we say that all the time. Well, the committee sent us a message on what you don't know what they're going to do next year. They may completely turn it around and take into effect strength of schedule. And all of the ones of us out there that said, well, we're going to go out and schedule, cupcake non-conference games, end up getting the hose. I mean, I don't know what they're going to do. And is the committee going to be the same next year? Probably not. I mean, don't they rotate the people on these committees? That's the thing. There's a lot of ambiguity in this thing. And then we didn't even get to the seeds. We didn't get a chance to talk about that. But the seeds here, I mean, Oregon has a legit complaint. I mean, they're the number 1 seed, and they got to play the winner of 2 10-2 teams, Tennessee and Ohio State, who on any given date are possibly the best teams in college football. Why don't they get the winner of Indiana, Notre Dame? Why don't they get the winner of Clemson, Texas? How did they draw Tennessee, Ohio State as the number 1 seed? I know you do it based on rankings, but why did Tennessee get seeded 7 and Ohio State get seeded 6? I don't understand that. It's a little bit baffling to me. I mean, you can make arguments all the way around. So anyway, but Indiana, Notre Dame will open up. And then the winner of that game will play Georgia. SMU and Penn State will play, and the winner of that game will take on Boise. Tennessee and Ohio State will play, and again, like I said, we'll take on Oregon. And then Clemson, Texas, the winner of that game will take on Arizona State. Here's my problem. Quit giving a 12 and a 9 a bye. But see, that's where the deficiency is. You're giving conference champions the automatic bid. Don't give automatic bids. Why would you give a 12 seed a bye and you got a 5 seed or a 6 seed or even a 7 seed or any seed for that matter having to play in the first round? It doesn't make any sense. So Stephen said in all other divisions of college football, the conference championship and some at large make up the playoffs. Strength of schedule is out of the equation, but is the elephant in the room of Division I FBS. I don't. Again, Stephen, you're right on. But again, this is the first year of this playoff. So were there going to be some mistakes? Were there going to be some? Was there going to be a filling out process? Yeah. And we said this years ago. It doesn't matter when you were at 2 teams and then you went to 4. And then we thought, where do we go from here? Well, we'll probably go to 12. We're at 12. And I distinctly remember saying, or people saying on our shows, well, it won't matter when you get to 12 because, if you're not definitively in the top 12, if you're sitting there, a 13th ranked team doesn't have an argument. Well, apparently they do. Apparently teams that are sitting there in 13th, 14th, Alabama in the AP poll was ranked ahead of SMU. So does the AP poll is it just eye candy now? I mean, for the most part it is because it didn't have any bearing on what they decided to do. So again, I hate to say this because it pains me to do it, but college football is just all jumbled up. It's all screwed up. They can't get the rankings right. They can't get the seeds right. You got NIL. You got the Wild West out here. Nobody controls anything. It's just pay for play all over the place. There's got to be some serious things wrangled in, I think. I don't know who does it. I said that Saturday. Luke and I talked about it. I don't really know what else to say than some kind of organization, whether it's the NCAA being given some more power or not, some organization is going to have to be created to regulate all this stuff. If not, it's just going to continue to spiral out of control. So is this a perfect playoff? No. Is it going to be exciting? Yes. Are there things to pick out that were wrong? Absolutely. We just talked about them. I mean, seeding being one of them. Did the best 12 football teams get in? I mean, that's always going to be an argument, right? That's why you keep seeing the NCAA tournament in basketball expand. They just keep adding more and more teams in. So, do you think any of you out there for a minute that this thing's going to end at 12? They're going to add more teams to this thing. It's coming. As sure as we're sitting here this morning. And there are going to be some rule changes based on the things that they think they didn't get right. But right now they're going to stand by their decision because that's what a committee does. They're not going to come out and say, yeah, you know what, we probably screwed up on that. We probably made a mistake on that. So that's your 12 teams. The teams getting the bye, they get a rest. The other ones, we're going to have 4 fun games at home stadiums. I mean, Texas will host Clemson. Ohio State hosts Tennessee. I mean, Indiana, even, for the love of God, who we thought played one team this year, Ohio State, and got drummed. You saw Signetti on ESPN yesterday complaining about why they got to travel on the road to Notre Dame and why they didn't get to host the playoff games. Everybody's arguing about everything when there's a lot of people thinking that Indiana shouldn't have even been allowed to be in the playoff. You got their head coach on camera not thankful that they got in the playoff, but complaining and bitching because they didn't get the chance to host the playoff game because they thought they were better than a lot of these other teams. Well, if we're going to compare, if Indiana had to play SMU, Penn State, Tennessee, Texas, and Clemson, I'm not sure they'd win half of those games in the regular season. But again, everybody's complaining about everything. So even the teams that got in, some of them are complaining that they didn't get a chance to host, and they're having to travel. So we'll see how all that plays out at the end of the day. But all right, guys, it's 8:40. Hey, I want to remind everybody coming up this Friday, we'll be on location. Looking forward to being at Bunkers in Auburn. Would love for you guys to come out and see us. And it's a great place to come bring your family, bring your friends. To the bays there for the virtual golf. The food is outstanding. We will be there for our noon show, our Auburn Blitz show on Friday. So make sure you go out and come see us. Stop by, make plans over the holidays. Really, really cool place there on West Glen in downtown Auburn. So, all right, folks, really appreciate it. We'll be on the air at noon with Auburn Blitz. We always appreciate all of you that tune us in, and hope all of you have a great Monday, okay?